No matter what type of project you're working in, chances are you'll need to add video effects to your clips in some way, whether it's to totally change the way things look or to add some sort of element to your clips that weren't there before. There are so many possibilities, but for now, let's take a look at the basics of applying video effects in Final Cut Pro 10. I'm going to go into my 9.4 project, Video Effects Begin, and this is one of our montages. And I'm also going to open up the effects browser. That's this button here, or keyboard shortcut Command 5. So this is both video and audio effects. We have video at the top and audio down here at the bottom. And for now, we're going to be focusing on video. The categories of effects are along the left, and the effects within those categories are along the right. If you'd like to see your clip applied with these effects, you can just select the clip and then come over and hover, and it shows you what it would look like with each of these effects applied. If you would actually like to apply an effect, you can click and drag and drop it on, or I'll undo that, Command Z. With the clip selected, you can double click, and now that's been applied. And the good thing about that is that you can actually select as many clips as you like. So let me undo that again, Command Z, and I'll select all of my clips and double click. And now they all have this effect applied. I can then open up my inspector, this button up here, or Command 4, and you can see that the threshold effect has been applied. Now, the thing about this is that if I would like to change this in any way, right now the effect is applied to each individual clip. So I could come in and make my changes, but again, that's only affecting this on a clip-by-clip basis. So if you would like to stylize a lot of clips all together, my suggestion would be to actually convert everything to a compound clip. So let me undo several times, Command Z, until all my effects are gone. And so I'm going to select all of my clips, right-click, and choose New Compound Clip, or Option G. And I'm just going to call this Video Effects Nest 1. And now I have everything in a compound clip, so I can go ahead and apply my effect, make my change, and then because I did this on a compound clip, everything is affected at the same level. We explored this when we talked about compound clips back in Chapter 7. I'm going to delete my threshold effect, so I'm going to select it and just press delete. And let's pick something a little more realistic. I think I want to basically make this look a little bit more military. And I know that there is an effect called combat. So I'm going to go into looks, and it's right here, combat. And as I skim over this, you can see what sort of effect is applied. So I'll just drag and drop. And let's come to the inspector and modify it just a little bit. And I'm going to come up to combat, and right now I don't see any parameters, but I'm just going to click on show, and here they are. And I can come through and make some adjustments. And I think what I'm after is something a little warmer. So I'm going to bring up my color cast a little bit. And Protect Skin is on a lot of these effects, which is nice. And if you bring that up, it can help preserve the natural flesh color. And let's darken our shadows a little bit. And I'm just going to skim through and make sure that I like it for all of my clips. Now let's go ahead and add a vignette. I'm just going to come down here to my search field and type that in. And the reason it's not coming up is because I'm selected on the looks category. So I'm going to come back up to all, and there's my vignette, and we'll add that as well. So I just added it right on top of it. You'll notice that it adds it below my combat effect, and that will become important in just a bit. So I'm going to show those parameters, and I think we'll make just some subtle changes with this vignette effect. And then some of these controls are available within the viewer, as you can see, like so. I'm going to see how I like that. I'm just going to move through the sequence, and I'll play it a little bit. I think what I'd like to do is actually warm it up even a little bit more. And so I'm going to add the tint effect, and we'll bring that on. And let's show those parameters. And by default, it gives me a cool tint, but I'm going to come into my color picker here, and let's change the color to something a little warmer, like so. And let's back off on the amount a little bit, and I'll also increase my Protect Skin values. So this is looking a lot more like what I imagined. Now, if I come over to the inspector and I want to see this without any of these applied, I just uncheck my box right here. Okay, so that's without tint. This is without the vignette. If I want to reset values, as I hover over each of these parameters on the right, I see a little arrow. And if I click that, it's going to reset it to the default values. If I want to reset the entire effect, I come up to this arrow and choose Reset Parameter. And notice how everything goes back to the default values. I liked what I did though, so I'm going to undo that, Command Z. Now another thing that I want to talk about is how these interact. So I applied the combat filter, then I applied the vignette filter, then I applied the tint. But what if I did that in a different order? For example, what if I applied the tint first? Well, you can just drag and drop these. And to make these a little bit easier, I'm just going to hide the parameters and just show the effects so that we can more easily drag and drop. So I'm going to bring tint first. You can see that there was a subtle change. And now what if I do the vignette first? And now I'll move my tint to last. So the order that these are applied really does matter on the final look. Now, just one more thing for now. We've already talked about how we can remove effects from the inspector. So I just click on the effect and then press delete, and it goes away. Let me undo that. Sometimes it isn't as convenient as it is here. So right now we have one compound clip and we have these effects applied to the whole thing. But if I have lots of different effects working on each of my clips, I might need to remove my effects, and I don't want to go into the inspector each time to do that. So to remove effects without going into the inspector, you can just select the clip and then come up to Edit. And if you want to blow them all away, that's Remove Effects. And then any effects applied to the clip that you have selected go away. And now we're back to the default state. Let me undo that, Command Z. And this time, I'm going to go to Remove Attributes. And here I can cherry pick the ones that I want to remove. So if I just want to take away the vignette, I'll deselect everything else, remove, and now my vignette is gone. I'll undo that as well. So applying and adjusting your video effects is a quick and efficient way to change the overall look of your video footage in your project however you like.